All right, let's get back into the story. So, y'all have to remember, this was so many years ago. So, I'm trying to kind of go in order. I may go a little bit of out of order, but I am going to try to keep up. But so that day he did ended up leaving. He did not put up a fight. Where he went, I have no clue. I really don't. But after he left, I did take some time to self-reflect and just, kind of consider everything. And we ended up talking later. We did end up getting back together. I know. But, I want to say something. I'm not sharing this story to bash him by any means. We were super young. But I do want to highlight how unhealed trauma and things from your past can spoil over into relationships. And at the end of the day, a person cannot do anything to you unless you allow them to do so by giving them place in your life. My ex-husband did not force me to take him back. He did not put a gun to my head. It was truly my decision. Now, there was some spiritual influence behind it because, again, I wanted to make sure that I was in God's will. But at the end of the day, it was my choice to continue to work on a relationship. So, yes, that person is at fault when it comes to certain things, but you're also at fault when you know a person has shown you who they are or where they are at that time, and you continue to allow them in your life. That's completely on you. And I'm sorry to say that. We can try to blame the other person all we want, but at the end of the day, if you're not giving that person place, they are not in a position to hurt you. If you're not giving them the power to hurt you, you're not. And that's like when people say, oh, I want to be in a relationship. I would be happy if I had a husband. I would be happy if I have a wife. The truth is we need to be happy before we get into a relationship, because if you're giving a person the power to create happiness for you, if they leave, guess what happens? They are also taking your happiness. You need to be happy ahead of time. Yes, it would hurt if a person leaves your life that you really enjoy. It would hurt to have your heart broken, but at the end of the day, you can't put all of your happiness on the responsibility of someone else, right? Okay. So now back to the story. So we did end up getting back together. I want to say that particular year, because when I moved into that apartment, I was there for 1 year and we went back and forth several times. So I remember there was one time we did end up together, and I had some money that had came into my hands, and I was trying to get into this place of, trying to be different, trying to have a different mindset. My thought was, if I'm doing everything the way I think it should be done and things still do not work, then I know for a fact that it's not meant to be, because in my head, I was still questioning, was this was this a test? Was this a test of faith? Was this God telling me it's time to move on from this relationship? Y'all, I was so conflicted, and I was just so afraid of making the wrong decision. So it was like, okay, now if I'm doing everything 100% and this man still is acting up, I will know for a fact that we are not meant to be together. So something happened with my vehicle, and I ended up having to get another car. I ended up selling one of the vehicles. There was I don't remember exactly what happened, but long story short, we ended up breaking up again. A whole nother situation with another woman. It's always about a woman when we've broken up. He ended up getting a studio somewhere. On our last attempt to work it out, the money that I had got from selling my car, now he never knew this, but as women, there are some things that we try to keep to ourselves, and we want the image to seem, wifely, homely, we're being this good woman, whatever. But I ended up taking that money, and I think I bought him a game system, some shoes, something I ended up doing, but I ended up not paying my rent. I was supposed to have some other money that was going to come, but it did not come in time, and I ended up losing my apartment. So me and the girls ended up having to move in with him. We had 2 daughters together. So we ended up having to move in with him in the studio. From that studio, we ended up moving into this other apartment. It was like a motel style apartment. It was not my favorite, but I was like, you know what? Maybe this is what we need. We need a fresh start. I had to humble myself because I was in a position now where I actually needed his help because we were getting ready to be put out. So We end up moving into this other apartment. And I remember, you guys remember the day that he had that the car got towed and he lost his check, right? I'm thinking everything is fine, right? I get a call from a lady. Mind you, we're in this new apartment. I'm thinking we're doing good. The girls are there. You know, we have this new leaf. I'm fine. I get a call from this lady. Now, let me back up because I've heard of this lady before, but I thought he was done messing with her. That's what he told me. He told me it was over. This is the older lady. He told me he was done messing with her. Everything was over between them, whatever. I believed it. I didn't have any proof of anything else. And I told myself I was not going to snoop. I said, I'm not going to look for anything because when you look for stuff, you find it, right? So the lady calls me. It's around Christmas time. She tells me, oh, y'all still together? We are still involved. I've been to your house. I was in your last apartment. One time we thought you were coming home early. I had to hide on your balcony because in my apartment, I had like this really nice little balcony that faced this lake and there were ducks and stuff out there. And she was like, we were afraid that you were coming home. This lady described my entire apartment. She says, I've even been to the apartment that you're in now. I seen your gift. I saw that Tiffany box under the tree that he was getting you for a gift. And I was like, what? I was like, y'all, I was just, honestly, I think I was hurt, but I was not to the point where I was when I first found out about him messing with other women while I was sick and throwing up. I think once you've been hurt so much, it's almost like you get a scar. You get a scar in that place and it just becomes numb. So it's like when she's telling me this, I'm in disbelief, but I'm not like so devastated. It was more so disappointing. Like, wow, even with all this, even with, you know, the situation and having another child, you're still at this place, right? But guess what? This time she told me she's pregnant. She's pregnant. Mind you, I had just had our other daughter, right? I had just had our other daughter, and I'm sitting here like, you know, it's one thing when someone cheats on you, you can kind of patch that up. But a baby is like a permanent reminder of the deception. A baby is something that, of course, children are innocent. We cannot blame children for adult decisions, but it just stung a bit. Like, wow, you know, when we met, neither one of us had children. So we had our kids together. You know, people say you don't have children until you're married. Wait until you're married to have children. That's not a guarantee either. That's not a guarantee that the relationship is going to sustain itself, right? So we're talking, she's telling me the story, and then we got to talking about, you know, the things that he would say to us. Y'all, this man was saying the same thing to her that he was saying to me. Like, I remember it was this line that he would say, like, you can't leave me alone. You know why? Because I got you here and I got you here. Like, basically saying I have you in your head and I have you in your heart. I never told this lady that. Do you know this lady sat up there and told me the same line he told her? And I was like, this man is crazy. This a fool. This is a whole fool. And so when we talked about it, right, he and I had a conversation. Talked about the situation. They were supposed to take care of the situation with the baby or whatever. But long story short, she ended up having a baby. Y'all, at this point in my life, it was just like, you know what? It's just not going to work. It's never going to work. There's nothing I can do to correct this. But guess what else? Not only was he messing with her, I found out he was also messing with the lady at my daughter's daycare. And I started to call up to that daycare and tell her boss. Although I had other thoughts as a teacher, that was just completely out of line. But I just felt like, you know what? What's the purpose of this? What's really the point, right? So, y'all, I ended up packing all my stuff. I called a friend of the family. She had a room that we could rent. I literally put everything in my car, TVs, clothes, everything that I could find, packed up. We rented a room from this lady, and I just decided that I was done. Or so I thought. Y'all, I'm telling you, I'm not going to go through every single detail because there's so much. I think I might end up writing a book about it because it's so detailed and there's so much. But the purpose of me even sharing this is to let you know that sometimes you see people and they're in these good relationships and you think they're happy and whatnot, but you don't really know what they've been to get to that point, right? People are happy, they're smiling. And I'm so thankful that even with all that I've been through, I am still able to put a smile on my face, show up, comb my hair, because there are people that experience trauma. And I believe my ex-husband, the reason his behavior was the way that it was because he had trauma. He had things that he had to deal with in his childhood. And what they say, hurt people, that is so true, because people are taking out their unhealed trauma on other people that they're latching to, looking for wholeness, looking to be happy, looking for someone to bring light and positivity into their life. And they're bringing you down. But because you love them, you've become emotionally attached to them, you're not able to recognize that you are basically the crutch for them. You are the person that's taking the beating for something that someone else did. And you're trying to love them through that unhealed trauma, and you're hurting yourself. That's really all you're doing, because that person is not in a place to really understand and understand what you're going through and understand the things that you're feeling, because they are just focused on themselves. It's selfish, right? And that's the thing about marriage. You cannot be married and have a selfish mindset, because it's not going to work. When you marry somebody, you're basically signing a certificate that says, I am legally signing up to take care of this person for the rest of our lives. Hopefully, right? Of course, it doesn't end up being that way, but that is a big responsibility. And so many people are so cautious on having a wedding and having a date night and laying up with my husband and we're doing vacation. All that stuff is fun. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it. Me and my husband travel often, so we love us a good vacation. But we still have moments where we have to build one another up. We have to deal with whatever type of energy, or, if they're in a bad mood, if they had a bad day, if they had bad news, if they're feeling discouraged, if they're feeling unhappy, you still got to do your part. But I think that a lot of people are caught up in saying, oh, I have a husband, I have a wife, I'm married. And it's a beautiful thing, but there is so much that goes along with that, right? Okay, so I end up moving out. I'm renting a room, right? Renting a room with this lady. I started dating again, of course, because I had in my mind, you know what? I'm still young. How old was I? I had to be maybe around, I was still in my 20s. I want to say 20, I don't freaking know, maybe 25, 26, something like that. I was pretty young. So my mind was not done with, a relationship, even though we were still married. Yes, we were still married, but we were separated. And I just wanted to kind of have a release. I don't know, some people, they judge people when they start dating and they get out relationships, but you don't know what that person is going through, and you don't know what that person has been through. You may see that their relationship has just ended, but that relationship was over years ago. And that definitely was a situation for us. So I move out. I'm renting a room, me and my kids. We're slowly getting back into life. The good thing is I was close to my mother. My mother was we kind of repaired our relationship. I think our relationship got better once I moved out. She grew in some areas. I grew in some areas. So she was helping me with the girls. And life was, on the up and up. Things were starting to look, like they were getting into a better place. So, of course, who comes back looking to get back together again? My ex. I won't say he had a strong hold on me, but I think that ultimately people want to work out their marriage, right? People want that person that they've been working with and holding on. And I used to say this, I'm not going to bake a cake and put all my time and ingredients into this cake for somebody else to eat it. If I spent this much time working on this person, working on this project, The least thing I could do is sit around and wait for it to be done, right? And the problem with that is we want to love the future self of a person. We want to see them for a person that they've never become. And they may become that person, and they may not become that person. It may take them 15 or 20 years to become that person. Are you going to sit there and take the abuse and wait for them to figure it out at the expense of your diamond time and energy and your health? We're not getting any younger. Mentally, everybody is, on the brink of a breakdown. So it's like we just don't have that type of time and energy, especially now, right? Like young people, they have a different mindset. They may have a different, timeline. Like when we're young, we're still figuring it out. But honestly, I don't think you're ever too young to know that it's not a good thing to hurt someone. It's not a good thing to lie. It's not good to be deceptive. This is not something that you have to learn not to do. This is a choice. You're choosing to lie. You're choosing to cheat. You're choosing to manipulate people. You're choosing not to show up and do your part. It doesn't matter what your age is. You know what I'm saying? Even as a kid, you know right from wrong. But as an adult, we become more bold. We become more, matter of factly. I can do what I want. But you're hurting people in the process, and you're creating your own karma. Now, the Bible says you reap what you sow. People in the world says what goes around comes around. No matter which way you want to look at it, whatever you're putting out, somehow that is going to come back to you, right? So he ends up calling. I'm kind of like talking to him a little bit, but I'm not really taking it serious because by this time I'm dating. I'm feeling empowered. I'm like, I'm past that situation. I'm over you. But deep in my heart, I still wanted to believe that he was going to change because he was not a horrible person. Even Hitler probably was nice to somebody. I'm not comparing him to Hitler, but I'm just saying nobody is 100% just horrible to the core. And we did have a good friendship. Like even to this day, I feel like we could have been friends, but we never should have been in a marriage, right? So time go on, fast forward, I end up moving out of her, it was a lady's house, and I got an apartment. This time I'm starting over again. I finally saved up. I got a better job. I'm making good money now. The last time I was working, doing a sales job, making like $9 an hour or something. But I did not realize that I was actually good at sales at that time. So I ended up applying for another job. One of my friends, again, was like, hey, Canessa, come apply for this job. We're making so much money. They got good commission. But I had been at the other place so long. I was like high in seniority. I had a good schedule. And I was making enough money for me and the girls to live very comfortable. We were able to do a little thing. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm comfortable, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also learning it's not good to be comfortable. Because when you're too comfortable, sometimes you can miss out on things that push you to be better. And you're comfortable with mediocrity. And that's not well. Like if you've reached your highest potential in life and what you can do yourself and your abilities, that's one thing. But if you know that you have more in you and you know that, what, I could do more, but you're choosing not to just because you're afraid of hard work or you're afraid of change, then again, you can be limiting yourself. So fast forward. I get this job. I get this new apartment, right? My ex is doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm not even thinking about him, okay? I meet this guy. Now, we all have this person who we feel is our dream guy, right? Again, I'm tall. Back in the day, if you weren't at least 6 feet, I didn't even notice you. Like if I'm at a party and you're like 5'8", 5'9", I didn't even see you. It was almost like you were not even an option because you weren't in my view, right? So I wanted someone that was tall, established, especially from what I had been through, right? So before I left my job, this guy walks in. I see him and I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, everything I wanted. Height. Had a real credit card. Talk with some intelligence. I mean, talking about God. Again, y'all, that I'm telling y'all that thing, I don't know, maybe my mom drew it in my head, like, you gotta have a man of God, he gotta be a Christian. And so my mind was like, okay, if he's a man of God, he's automatically a good man, even though I went through the same scenario with my ex. So meet this guy, and we end up talking. We end up kind of just like hanging out a little bit here and there, nothing deep. But y'all, I'm promise you, I probably was in love with this man day one. Day one. So in the midst of me getting my new place, I'm seeing this guy who's my dream guy. Everything is going, I won't say it's going good, because I had my marriage going on. He had a situation going on. So it was not like, okay, we're trying to be together. It was more so, hey, I'm in a messed up situation. You're in a messed up situation. We hung out from time to time. It was nothing big. But in my heart, I was praying in hindsight, like, God, if this is not the man that I'm going to be with, take him out of my life. I don't want to be with anyone else. Yes, I did say that, and I was still married. I don't care. Yes, I did. Everybody, you don't have to necessarily go through a divorce before your heart is open, before you're ready. If that's you, that's fine. If you're going to judge me for it, is what it is. I'm just telling you the truth, right? So I'm in my new place. I finally bought furniture. I didn't tell you this, but when I got my other apartment, when I left the first time, remember, my job wasn't paying much, so I couldn't afford furniture or anything. So I get this couch, I get my girl's bedroom, I get my bedroom set, a little couch. It was like a little 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, out in a nice suburb. Like, life was pretty decent. You know, I'm working my job, I'm feeling independent. You know, I'm still deciding, you know, what to do about my marriage, if I'm getting a divorce or not. But it was not in the forefront of my mind. So one day I get a call from my ex. Now, I knew he was in other relationships at that time. He knew I was, you know, seeing other people. It is what it is. He calls me and says, oh, man, can I please stay? Can I just sleep for a night? I got put out. Me and this person got into it. Now, mind you, this is my children's father, okay? And also people are like, what about it? So what? It doesn't matter, he hurt you. I know, but I still have a heart, okay? I still cared about the person to a degree. So he's like, can I please come over there? I won't try anything. And I'm like, okay, you can sleep on the couch, but there's nothing happening. Nothing's going on, right? So long story short, again, he comes over. He's staying night after night. I'm still trying to talk to the person I'm talking to. One day he decides to go through my phone, goes through my phone, reaches out to the guy like, look, stop talking to my wife. We're working out our marriage. We're still seeing each other. You need to move on. I'm praying for God, blah, blah, blah. So the dude is like, look, I'm not about to stop seeing anybody just because you said so. If she want me to cut you off, then I will cut you off. I'll cut you off at that time. So by this time, I'm like sick, y'all. I'm crying because this man, like I said, I thought this man was like the man of my dreams. So I was like, you know what? What am I doing? Maybe he's really right this time. Maybe this time he is finally ready. So what did I say? I said, okay, I'm going to give it another try. Another try. So I stopped talking to the other guy. And even though I was crying, I was sad about it because in my heart, I almost felt like I was going back to just a place of unhappiness, a place of bondage. That's probably the best way I could describe it, right? And I'm playing emotions. I'm playing a role like, okay, we're going to be together. We are going to figure this out. We have these girls. Okay. One day, again, y'all, that phone messed people up. He was working overnight. This had to be, I'm going to say maybe like a month into it with us trying to work it out for the umpteenth time. He leave his phone. It was a work phone at the time. Again, I don't remember what the deal was with cell phones back that time because, guys, again, this was so long ago. But this is what I do remember. He left his phone. He called me like, hey, I'm at work. I just want to let you know that I have forgot my phone, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Of course I went through that phone. I don't care. I know I said I wasn't going to go through that phone, bump that. This was my opportunity. I'm going through that phone. Go through the phone, go through the text messages. I saw nothing. But I remember he would email me sometimes, right? So I go to his email. I saw nothing in the email. Something was like, go to the sent. Yeah, he deleted that inbox, but he did not delete the sent. Go to the sent messages. He messaging the lady with the baby. Yes, she still had the baby. I don't know how in my mind I thought we were just going to overlook this baby, overlook this woman. I was in the Lulu land. Go to the email. He telling this lady, oh, you such a strong woman. I love you. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, y'all, like, I'm shocked again, as if I don't know who I'm dealing with. I'm like, oh, you know what? It was like I was shocked, but I was happy because I'm like, you know what? Now I know for the fact again that I am done with him for sure. I cut the other person off. We are working on our marriage. And again, this man just won't get it right. So he called me again. And I said, I'm going to tell you right now, you've been caught. I want you gone by the end of the day. Because he worked overnight. I had to go to work that morning. I said, when I get home from work, I want you gone. He's like, no, I said, I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I told you when you came back this last time, if it looked funny, if it smelled funny, you're out of here. And sure enough, I had to say stuff to her because she won't let me see my child. I don't care. If we're working on a marriage, you're supposed to talk to me about that. We could have had a conversation. You went and did your own thing. You're sneaky. I want you going by the end of the day. Babies. I got home from work, put the key into the apartment. Y'all, this man, he was gone all right. He cut up my couch. I'm talking about slash. Mind you, this is my first time buying furniture. Slashed up my couch. Cut all the cords off my appliances. I did hair, so my little extra income, that was messed up. Cut the cord to the kids' TV, slashed up my mattress, bleached my clothes, and he took out the back door, the knob, completely took it out. Y'all, I was shook. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But you know what I did? I filed a police report. And I told myself, you know what? If this is the price I have to pay to finally be done with this person, if this is the price I have to pay to finally get done, money well spent. Money well spent. Okay, y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all this is first because, again, remember, I still have a baby. I have a 1-year-old. Y'all see how big my face got? Don't worry about it. I'm still breastfeeding. So for those who started following me on that food on the weight loss journey, don't think I've given up. I have not given up, but it's so, I'm going to say it's hard. It is hard. I love food. I love to eat. My baby breastfeed. Y'all hear him? He just woke up on the camera. But listen, I'm going to try to tell y'all this story as much as possible in between spurts. Also, I know the holidays are coming up. And when I used to cater, I used to make this caramel pound cake that everybody loved. I am getting ready to post that video shortly. So for those of you who are following me for food, don't think I'm just going to start talking about my whole life and all that. If you're here for recipes, don't worry. They're definitely still coming. I have a few things that are going to be coming this week. I appreciate you guys who are listening, who are following. I'm hoping that you can get something from this channel, whether it be a recipe, whether it be motivation, whether it be, you know what, I'm bored. I just want to hear something juicy. I want a good time. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have a time. I might even do maybe like a Friday night, coffee hour or wine hour, and we could just sit and talk about it. If you want to share your story, if you want, tips on how to move on, move forward, we're going to talk about it. I just feel like, it's taking me so much time to post videos, y'all, because trying to record cooking videos, editing, it takes so much time. And I don't want this to just be only a food. I want you to, get to know me. We can talk about things. We can talk about experiences. We're going to share good food. I'm going to be a foodie regardless. Y'all got some weight loss tips? Y'all got some things that help y'all to stay focused? I'm all for it. But don't worry, y'all. We're going to have a good time. But I am going to catch up. I have to end it here because my baby is up. But I'm not going to make y'all wait a long time like I do in my food videos because these are easier to produce. But I'm going to catch y'all up on the next part very shortly. I think I'm just going to do a series so that way it'll be separate. All right. I appreciate you guys.